You know how sometimes a plan comes along and it makes you think, oh, why hasn't this been done already? Or how I wish this was actually done. This is exactly how I felt reading through Scotland's newly published immigration proposals, including something they are calling a Scottish visa. And no, it isn't just an idea on paper. It is a detailed plan that Scotland actually sent to the UK government months ago. We are only seeing it now because it's just been published after the new immigration rules have already come into force. So today, let's break down what exactly Scotland is asking for and why they think the current UK immigration system does not work for them, and what this Scottish visa could mean for anyone wanting to live or work in Scotland. Hello there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Evelyn. On this channel, I share immigration updates. I share updates about working in the UK, living in the UK, and everything in between that category. If this kind of content interests you, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any video from this channel. At this point, I would like to disclaim that I'm not an immigration lawyer and I'm not an immigration advisor in any way. What I share on this channel is based on my research and what is on the public space. So if you need specialized advice or immigration advice, always do well to consult a professional. So let's get right into today's video. Scotland is saying that the current UK immigration system does not work for them, that too many visa routes are built for major cities like London or those in the southeast and a few other major cities, but it doesn't reflect Scotland's economic or demographic reality. And they also said they don't want the discussion around immigration to be focused on whether the numbers are going up or the numbers are coming down. They want the focus of immigration discussions to be on the actual needs of the economy, the communities, and public services. And here is one of the reasons why they talked about these numbers. When we look at the overview of immigration system related issues facing Scotland, they've written here that the latest population projections for Scotland, published in January 2025, show that although Scotland's population is expected to continue to rise until mid 2047, that is increasing by 6.2% compared to 2022's baseline. All of this population growth is expected to be driven by an inward migration, with the number of deaths continuing to outweigh the number of births in Scotland each year, as is already the case. In the same period, the number of children in Scotland is projected to decrease at a faster rate than for the UK as a whole, while the number of people of pensionable age in Scotland is simultaneously projected to increase substantially. So this is why they are saying that they believe that talks about immigration or migration shouldn't be based on number, whether the number is going up or down, because Scotland is not facing those issues right now. And they also mentioned that the projections I've just read out for the levels of migration did not take into consideration steps taken by the UK government over the last 12 months to significantly reduce net migration, which could, without mitigating action, reduce net migration to Scotland to such an extent that the population begins to decline as a consequence. These projections did not actually take into account these new immigration policies. So, meaning that it may actually be worse than they are presenting it here. That is what I understand. So, for the key changes that they actually want in Scotland, the proposal covers a lot of grounds, and I'll walk you through the main points in bits so that you hear the changes that they want to see reflected in their migration or immigration. The first is visa and immigration fees. Scotland is saying that the UK has some of the highest charges in the world, and this makes it harder to actually attract skilled workers. And on top of all of that, immigration health surcharge jumped from 624 pounds to 1,035 pounds last year. And with another increase being considered, they are proposing that these fees should be lowered for those in Scotland. And they're asking that IHS fees, this immigration health such fees, be scrapped for migrants so that they are not paying twice for the same health care. That's one. The second thing on their proposal is the health and care sector. They noted that applications for the health and care worker visa dropped by 81% after the UK banned dependents for these visa categories. They want this ban to be reversed for healthcare workers. The people that are not able to bring dependents are mostly those that are carers, care assistants, and senior carers. So they want this ban to be reversed for those categories of people that can no longer bring dependents. And they are wanting IHS reimbursements to cover all frontline staff, not just certain registered roles. That is another thing. And the third proposal, or the third major point on their proposal, is international students, which they also noted that the applications or the number of students coming in have fallen by 81%. This percentage is just for Scotland, okay? These projections or whatever numbers you're seeing on the screens for Scotland, while other parts of the UK are saying they're overpopulated, there are too many. Scotland is saying they have had a significant drop in number of students, number of care workers by a massive 81%. So this 81% in drop of number of students is mostly EU students since Brexit, but non-EU students went up, which they were quite happy about, that at least non-EU students have come up a bit. But they're now saying that the UK government is undoing this effort by banning international students from bringing their dependents. Master students can no longer bring dependents, we all know already. So they are saying the UK government's recent restriction is undoing all of this progress that they were seeing. So they are calling for the ban on international students to be able to bring dependents to be lifted for those in Scotland. For family visas, they say that the fees are too high and it's keeping families away from each other. And that is not what they want in Scotland. They want these rules for family visas to be aligned with the EU settlement scheme and the threshold set to reflect Scottish earnings. This document is a big document, so I'm merely picking out some points, basic points. I will leave a link in the description box if you want to go through the entire thing bit by bit. I'll leave a link in the description box. Okay, not everything that I'm saying here, else we'll spend 2 days here. Another thing they mentioned was visa sponsorships. They're saying that many businesses actually avoid sponsoring workers because the threshold is too high. It's quite expensive and the admin is a nightmare. They noted that if an immigrant lost his or her job, they are given 60 days to leave the UK. They are saying that that time is too short. They are wanting that period of 60 days to be extended and sponsorship costs lowered. Yeah, those are some of the major things that Scotland are asking for if you go through the proposal. And back to the Scottish visa, they are saying that countries like Canada and Australia are already using regional visas to meet local needs, and Scotland wants to follow that model. So this visa would allow people to live and work in Scotland with a Scottish tax code, and there will be no salary threshold, meaning that you will not be excluded just because you're not able to earn a certain salary. They are saying that unlike most UK visas, the employer would have to sponsor you. But for this Scottish visa, the Scottish government will nominate applicants, and this will take the burden off the small and medium sized businesses. And that is not all. They also said that this arrangement would lead to settlement, either as indefinite leave to remain in the UK or just settlement within Scotland if it's not going to be allowed in the UK as a whole. It can be just settlement is in Scotland, and that would be after around 5 years. That is what they proposed. And for someone that has a Scottish visa, you'll be able to live and work in Scotland. You'll be able to bring your children and your partner, and also you can be self-employed. Wow. So they mentioned some exemptions from the existing visa routes that they want to be exempt from these rules. I'll just list them out, then you can read what they say on it for yourself. The one is they want to be exempt to the ban on dependents for students and health and care visa routes. They want to be exempt to that rule. They also want to be exempt to family visa requirements, of which they want the visa threshold to be lowered. We've talked about the ban on students. They want to be exempt to the skilled worker visa salary threshold, which increased from 26,200 to 38,700. They want to be exempt from that. So, those are some of the things that they want to be exempt from. Like I said, it's a huge, huge document, and is something that sounds juicy and what most immigrants would want to hear, like, and celebrate and shout that is good news. And this is what Scotland actually want for their region. So now the catch is that this proposal was submitted to the to the UK government in March, ahead of the release of the white paper in May. But whether this will be implemented or it will not be implemented is up to the UK government. Because if you go through the white paper, I don't think, don't quote me, I don't think that any of this was reflected. I'm not sure, but it's really up to the UK government at the moment. So this is what Scotland is proposing, and it's good for immigrants. Now you know exactly what is in that paper. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.